I don't know what you're singing now.
It was half MTV, half Beverly Hills Now 210, I think.
Oh my goodness! Oh my! I did a show with Bopskism. You know, Andy Rock from Flowbots, his exceptional little funk band, many years ago. We did I think we did that theme song.
Yeah, you did the prom.
Night. We did the prom, the nerd prom. So we did that. We did Thank You for Being a Friend from Golden Girls, which is the greatest TV show ever. Thank you for being a friend. Uh-oh.
That is such a fucking awesome song. Andrew Gold.
Really?
On that one.
All right. Nice.
That's such a great song.
It is a great song. How in the hell are you today? I haven't seen you in a week, and although we did talk this morning about some music business,
I don't know. Should we talk about real shit?
Let's talk about real shit. How are you feeling?
I just want to make shit up and talk about good stuff. It's just been all bad.
I rode a dinosaur this morning.
What? Welcome to 2 Shots and a Royalty Check, brought to you by Venmo, Your Money, Your Move, and Liquid Death, Murder Your Thirst. Let's get back into it.
I'm just making shit up.
I was going to say that. Yes, please do tell. Let's talk about that.
Like I saddled up an alligator and went for a spin.
Do you know we have alligator, farms here in Colorado?
I did not know that.
I did not either. Someone told me that we need to go. It's down south.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's... For those of you listening who aren't from Colorado, down south means Pueblo-ish.
Oh, yeah.
We try
that
not
makes
to
sense, though. That seems like where they would have those kind of things.
Yeah, it doesn't snow as much. It's pretty warm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people don't even know, but we have sand dune deserts in Colorado, and
we do
way down there.
Although it's been really, I think I read recently that the hottest air temperature on record was on 4th of July. And yet in Colorado on 4th of July, there was a monsoon.
It was fucking madness.
Yeah.
I can't, and it was so funny because there was this lull where everyone was canceled from doing fireworks. Mm-hmm. Everybody was just getting ready to go, and they're like, yeah, it's coming through.
Yeah.
And go to your cars and shelter.
Yeah.
And then once it lifted, everybody in the state blew off every firework they had for 4 hours.
Exactly.
It
was it was like Beirut. I mean, it was just
bad.
It was really insane. I had a show on 4th of July that got rained out. It was a very big show that the Corey Brunson band does every year, and for the first time, I mean, the monitor guy's tent was just destroyed. You know.
Yeah.
We had some gear really get absolutely saturated, even though we were in a covered stage. And it was so we're kind of dealing with the aftermath of that. But so it's just what a crazy... The weather for Colorado this year has been just crazy. My yard looks like I live in Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's so green out there. And
it's really never been like this. And I'm a summer baby.
Yeah.
So I'm used to, I don't ever remember things being canceled for the 4th of July, ever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's and this morning looked like Seattle.
Yeah.
And it just, it's finally burned off now for a minute. We'll see.
Yeah.
And and of course later on we'll bitch about how hot it is, hopefully.
As we always do.
Yeah, but still, and this isn't just raining, folks. This is scary hail and so much water, within an hour.
Yeah.
Just, like where I live, I always know when it's a bad storm, when the city disappears. When I can't see the city, and that's usually a snowstorm. But with rain and it would look like dune outside, it was that weird brown because the sun was still out.
Yeah.
So the sun was behind it, but then it got really black.
Yeah. Yeah, it was it was twilight out there. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But enough weather talk. That's what people talk about when they don't know what else to talk about.
I know. How boring. Yeah, let's talk about the weather that happened weeks ago as I listened to this, you assholes.
As I listened to the go, like, you assholes. But I think the point was...
But there's some music to that. Like, you know, it's like, it's difficult to plan for gear and weather.
Yeah.
And a lot of people lost some money.
Yeah. There is that piece, but there's also this piece of... I believe that artists and musicians have a hard time saying no when something like that happens. So we're standing on stage and, you know, like we're, you know, hopeful the show's going to happen. It's a big show. It's, you know, tens of thousands of people out there. But in that moment, I'm standing there and I'm going, if they're telling me that this is coming through and I'm looking at these clouds back here and I kind of know what's been going on for this year weather-wise, we should pack all this shit up and we should put it in the cars and just fucking deal with going on a little later.
Yeah.
If we have to.
Yeah.
Instead of letting it just like, you know, it's like Homer and the pig in The Simpsons, you know, when the pig gets launched across and it's like, it's just a little airborne, it's still good. You know, we're standing up there in this place of, oh, well, you know, just gee whiz, guys, I'm so excited to play. I'll take the risk of destroying my equipment and any event I have planned after this.
Yeah.
Because the show I'm at right now is the most important thing, and I think that this show, this particular moment, was a real fuck that for me, because I knew we should have put that shit away, and I didn't speak up because I so wanted to do the show. I didn't want to, piss anybody off. The show must go on, but I knew better, and there's no show that I'm playing that is worth all of Scott's equipment. There's nothing I'm ever going to do that's worth all of my equipment, because then I don't get to do what I love to do again. Yeah. And if, you know, I need to make sure that all that shit's protected, and he needs to make sure all that shit, I mean, he brought a lot of gear to that show to make everything easier for everybody because he's a fantastic human. And he gets paid for it, but not enough to justify fucking burning the building down around him, you know, with regards to this thing, you know, destroying that equipment. And I think that that's important for us to realize as artists. It's okay for you to set a boundary down around safety and dignity and integrity.
I also think it's important just to keep this conversation open, because last year I wrote an article in the magazine, in Performer Mag, if you guys read it. Mm-hmm. I wrote an article about how climate change is affecting live concerts. Yes. And how it's going to for the foreseeable future. We saw it with like wildfires. We saw like crazy wind events in like Spain. People were dying like in EDM shows and just crazy. And I extrapolated that out a little bit, because these are the people you don't hear from, is that local band that's, you know, driving in their van on their way to a 200-person, 100-person show in a bar on their way to the next show. All these little tours that are going on. And, you know, so I mean, Def Leppard and Motley Crue, this was a big thing where it rained on like, I think it was something like 12 or 14 of those shows, and they barely were able to finish them. But like they have gear that is tuned to that. They had to postpone some shows. Yeah. And like, you know, Def Leppard went on really late, or Motley Crue went on. They got through the stadium series. Yeah. And, you know, and you've seen recently Taylor Swift playing, you know, a piano that is just drenched in water. Yeah. Now that looks great. And there's not like a lightning event. You know, she's been very lucky on this tour to not have to deal with that. I think Beyonce had to deal with a few on the Renaissance tour. But you only hear it about it with big shows. And I'm not as concerned about that. They'll take care of themselves. They have insurance. I mean, obviously, I am concerned about it, the road crew and the management and all, and the fans. Yeah, of course. But I am more concerned about this prevalence of people telling bands, you know, screw streaming, build your private fan base, and the only way that you can make money is go out there on the road and go touring and build that fan base up, as if that hasn't changed, because it has changed in the last few years. One, because of COVID. 2 because of weather, and 3 because of inflation. So, and then you have one thing go wrong, right? Like the airlines go down a little bit over in late June. Newark gets closed down and shuts down, New York. And that just shuts down a whole lot of things. That means hotels are overbooked, cars are overbooked, gas prices are higher. It's harder to get food. Like all of the things start breaking down with weather events, and then crews can't get to other places and you don't have backup crews. And so it's just something that, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't tour. I'm just saying that, like, you need to be probably a little bit more careful about being a road warrior these days.
Be aware
I
of the
feel for them
realities.
because, like, I didn't have to. I mean, we went through some crazy storms in the Midwest, as you do.
Yeah, you tour anytime in the wintertime, you're going to get stuck somewhere at some point in time.
Absolutely, but you kind of knew it. You know, and these are just freak things where it's like you need to stop. You got to just stop. You got to not go any further. You got to just wait it out.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important for bands to kind of take a look at that and artists to take a look at that and like kind of be a little bit more careful about your tour planning. And I mean, you can't be frozen, and not do anything, but just to understand that may be part of the new normal now. Yeah. Is that weather might stop music.
Yeah, and I don't recall that. I mean, I've done enough shows in my storied 100 years on this planet that I'm used to a certain amount of that. This was different.
Yeah.
This was not a slight storm. Now, I always have to have there's certain places in Colorado that do not like to work with me because I am a pain in the ass about coverage for the band, making sure that equipment is protected. And I've had some, let's say, event space managers refuse to work with me because I told them I will not set my band up anywhere where there is a potential for electrocution or sunstroke or heat stroke, right? Because we're going to be out here under all of this. I can't change the relationship between humans and heat, and I cannot change the relationship between electronics and water.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, I'm working on it, y'all. Genetic modification is really it's really a passionate hobby of mine, So, but like because I've been not difficult, but I have been I've set a pretty robust boundary around that for my musicians. I will not put you in a position where you could potentially hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't care what the money is on this event. There's two. As I said, my former business partner Corey and he said all the time, there are two things that we do not sell: our dignity and our safety. That's it.
Absolutely.
And if you put any of those down on the on the auction block, the answer is no. And so I'm already very protective of that level of I can't fix that. I can't do anything about that. But what I can do is I can say that this is not okay for us. Now, if you've got somebody else that's willing to take that risk, have at it.
Yeah.
But the one time it goes wrong on you, and it will go wrong.
Yeah. It will.
That's going to be a very expensive day for you.
I remember I talked to a promoter that said there's no OSHA for rock shows.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's probably good that there isn't. Some of the shit we've pulled, you're daisy chaining a bunch of plugs for your pedal boards, and you're running huge cabinets through probably less than ideal electrical situations. Sometimes mics aren't grounded, and and there's some rain or some wetness, and it's like it'll be fine. Just don't hang on to the mic, and certainly don't lick it. That kind of stuff.
Do you know it's
we've all gotten close. We've all gotten some buzzes and some.
Well, that's the reason I always travel with my own wireless mic and wireless guitar setup now, because the most I'm going to get from it is like 3 volts.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's so I don't have any. I don't have any power. I'm separated from the power at that point, and but the number of times that I've electrocuted myself by completing a circuit, it's
yeah, totally.
I won't do it anymore.
I just remember one time we played a show in Wyoming in a freak snowstorm. Ooh. And they were lovely. It was like a surprise thing. We'd already played our other show, and we were at a bar, and they put together like some ramshackle, trailer outside, and like they had a PA from a previous thing. They're like, "We'll pay you an extra few $1,000s if you want to play for 30 minutes out there." And we're like, "Yeah!" And that was the Jaeger answering, and yeah, and it snowed, and we were trying, and it was one of those things where it's like, I don't know how I hit that note. Oh, well, you were electrocuted. That's how you hit that note. Wow. Wow. Sound like David Lee Roth out there all night long, just walking by the stage. Wow. Oh, my God. Wow. It was madness.
It's like there was one show I did 3 or 4 years ago, and I was on stage, and of course I forgot. It was the one time I'd rolled in late on I'd come in late from a gig the night before. I'd flown into this gig. I think it was in Boston. And I had landed, and I had forgotten to charge or replace the batteries in all my stuff. And I had to use a cable, and I was using it on a vintage amp that had live animals living in it because it was old as fuck. Had no ground on the power line, and my wireless microphone wouldn't pair. It was just a fucking mess. So they wired me up with everything. So my guitar wireless dies while I'm playing, and I go to use a cable, and I go to sing the first harmony on this song, and I touch the mic, and I'm touching the strings at the same time. And I went.
Sound like the opening to Disturbed. Wow.
Yeah, I was. You remember we talked about not being able to see him in the sunshine anytime. I lit the dark up on that one.
By the way, kids, if you're new to this game, if someone lets you use an amp and there are only 2 posts on that plug, be careful. There needs to be 3 posts on that plug.
Yeah, and I mean it's hard to do. Like I had to. Oh my God, I had this. I was doing a rehearsal a couple of weeks ago for a show. I think you were at the show. Yeah, you were at the Blackout show.
Yes. It was a great show.
My pedal board, I pulled my plug out of the wall, and the ground prong just kind of stuck in the wall, and we had to go find the breaker box. It wasn't in the studio. It wasn't in the house. It wasn't.
Oh my God.
There's another box. There's another box outside, but they couldn't find the key to the box, so we had to fucking hatchet off the lock, get in there, and then test each breaker, and eventually, I had a power strip with a light on it on the other outlet on the same circuit, and when that went out, it went great. But people think that ground prong is just kind of there's a wire in there.
Oh yeah,
it's grounded for a reason. So if that comes out, you can't just put it back in.
Oh my God, yeah, the balls to go up there with a needle nose pliers to pull it out too. You're like, are you sure it's off? Because this is exactly what you shouldn't be doing. This is like sticking a fork in a fucking plug.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was there for an extra 30, 40 minutes while I figured out where the fuck this breaker box was. And when that light went off, I went over with the pliers and pulled it out. Yeah. But it was like, I've been here enough
with rubber gloves and changed your shoes and held on to something else to ground yourself.
I've had enough experiences with murdering sperm.
Yeah.
From electrocution that I will not do it anymore.
I don't fuck with electrical or plumbing. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Well,
that's good because I would just burn the studio down. But like, there you go. Now we're fine. No one's gonna get hurt now.
It's nobody's gonna get. Nobody's gonna die here.
It's totally serious. I've been going to Red Rock since, for longer than most people have been alive, because I grew up over there. And I've been at range shows, and they are fantastic, especially in the summer. And
I've done a couple
when
up there in
starts
that
raining
kind
at
of
Red
weather.
Rocks, it is just amazing. Like, it can be amazing. And a few weeks ago at the Louis Tomlinson show, there was a hail event, and there were people that went to the hospital, like dozens, and welts and concussions and being cut. I have never seen that. Like the, we know some people who were at the Blues Traveler show. They always play 4th of July there.
Yeah.
And there was a rain event, and I don't remember if it was Reedy or Rich that shared it, but like someone was at the mixing board, and you see the color mixing board, and then water just drenching people as they're trying to get out. And as it turns out, someone Sarah knows was Cowboy. You know Cowboy from Oriental? The guy that drives around Hell's Bells and stuff.
Yeah.
She was doing that for Blues Traveler.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we're like, wow, small world.
It's a
and
small
she's like,
world
it's funny because she's
after
kind of younger, so I think she was thinking that like Sarah was going to be all, oh my God, you worked with Blues Traveler. And we're like, yeah, we'll just make a call and get you in touch with their manager.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but it was. Exactly. I just think that the weather thing is really important, and I know it's stupid to talk about weather, but I know that there's some bands right now listening to this that are like, yeah, we dealt with that last week, or dealt with that, and it's going to come up in the fall. You got shows down in the south. It looks like we're going to have some hurricane activity this year, so we'll see. But it just sucks. It sucks, and I don't like it. And there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah,
and it's one of those things where I think I've mentioned before that my brand is selfishness. And people are like, what do you mean by that? I mean that it is important. The most important thing for you to do is to take care of yourself. Otherwise, you cannot take care of anyone around you or anything else. So if you're in these situations where you're feeling any pressure to perform or do things that you do not feel good about, I want you to take a moment, take a deep breath, listen to yourself, and go, no. I will take care of myself first. Because one show does not matter that much.
Yeah, I wonder if a lot of the younger bands feel that way now. I know when I was coming up, that was a mark on you if you cancel the show. And like it just and I mean you want to go through for fans, especially when there's money involved from fans. You don't want to let them down because it may be their one night that they're out this month or whatever. Yeah. So that's important, but like it isn't as important as it used to be because the stakes are so much higher. It's not like you just sort of you pussed out and you didn't do a show and you coulda. It's that you pussed out, you didn't do a show because you shouldn't have. It's going to hurt everybody and you in the future.
But what is the difference between that and Louis Capaldi just canceled a whole bunch of his shows because his Tourette's was getting a little out of sorts, and he wanted to take some time and focus on his mental health. And did you see that the beautiful video of his fans singing "Someone You Love"? I think it was at Glastonbury, and like they carried him through. It was just I was so moved by it. But it's the same thing. I think with the mental health conversations we're able to have in this day and age, it is more than understood when safety is an issue and that kind of stuff. It's like we're going to do absolutely everything we can to make sure that this happens, but you don't get our dignity and you don't get our safety.
Yeah. I loved it. I love that is an ongoing conversation. Yeah. There's a band that I talked to not too long ago called the Blue Stones, shout out, that, they were having trouble on tour and there was just the tour grind got to him, and he felt like I want to get some help. And I'm hearing this from bands more often that it is that the mental health part of it is just as important as if your fingers have arthritis and you need to take a break, or your voice is blown out and you just can't sing that show. You just can't. Yeah, and it's the same thing. It's like having hail or lightning in your head, and I think that it's a lot easier for fans these days to be like, no, that's cool, good, I'm glad he's taking care of himself.
This makes me very happy that this is the conversation that's happening.
Totally.
I mean, it's
really,
foreign
really
to me
grateful.
From
the past, but I love that it's happening now.
Yeah.
Because before it would be a drummer yelling at you like, you fucking pussy, what are you doing?
I have had that drummer yell at me.
Yes, absolutely. You've had that drummer yell at you. Shout out drummers. We love all drummers.
We love all drummers yet again. Fucking with the drummers.
With the drummers. Well, and so let's get into a little something else here. This kind of goes along this.
Yeah.
Conversely, you've got people losing their shit out there in the audience. This is nothing new, but it is a spate of newer. I guess it's just more prevalent right now, and maybe it's just more high profile.
Do you think it's entitlement?
People throwing shit on stage.
Yeah.
And these aren't haters necessarily.
No.
These are people that paid, in many cases, hundreds and hundreds of dollars to be in that arena to see that artist. These are not small artists. Mm-mm. And
two I can think of right now are big fucking artists.
Yeah.
Right off the top of my head, yeah.
Yeah, it happened last year with Harry Styles. Mm-hmm. Hit in the eye with a piece of candy.
Yeah.
Lil Nas X just had to pause because someone threw sex toys at him on stage. And while that's kind of funny and sort of on brand for him, don't hit him.
But that is a I mean, depending on the sex toy, that is a robust item to fling at another human. It's one thing like when ladies were throwing their underwear at Tom Jones. At least this is a soft, lacy item that he can enjoy in his hotel room later on that evening. But when you're throwing your phone, a dildo, or your mother's ashes...
Oh, my God.
...on stage...
A cheese wheel?
Oh...
Pink got a cheese wheel. And when I mean a cheese wheel, it was like the size of her chest.
Yeah.
Like that. It's just madness. So Adele is doing a residency in Vegas. And she, you can search for this video, but she brought out a T-shirt cannon gun. And just basically was like, ripping on all these people throwing shit at people on stage and saying, I fucking dare you. I dare you to throw something at me. I'll fucking kill you with her T-shirt gun.
I love it.
And there needs to be some blowback. I mean, it's so let's
people are getting hurt.
They are. I mean, Baby Rexha, like that, dude. Her face was fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, she may have to have surgery.
Yeah. Fuck, man.
Like that, just and especially like when you're on, on an extended tour, any little thing like that. I mean, like if you cut your finger, or if you like roll an ankle coming off the stage, it just will stick with you. You can't stop. You've got to and then half of your day is spent with ice or being taken care of just to make sure you can go on. And I don't okay, so what's behind this? I've seen a few things posited, and I want to hear your point of view. Here's one of them is that people are just savage after COVID, that they just have no manners, and they're just savages. I tend not to put too much into that. However, I'm on TikTok, so I see it. I see people crashing cars. I see Karens yelling. I see people yelling in planes at shapeshifter lizards and stop the plane.
Jesus.
She didn't appear to be so drunk that she couldn't put together a sentence, but there she was, stopping $1 million flight. Little things like that. Yeah. I think that part of it is this idea that with all the platforms we have, that people feel closer to the artists, because they get more access to the artists that they know of, and it's like someone's sitting on a chair talking to them on TikTok. So maybe they mistakenly feel like they're closer to them. Although I still don't know. And I know this is an old guy rant. I do not fucking understand how you throw $1,000 phone at anything.
Yeah.
At anything on stage. How are you going to get home? How are you going to get an Uber home, you dumbass? What were you thinking at all? Throw anything but your phone. Your guy's got your numbers and your dirty pictures and your Uber app. What the fuck are you thinking?
That cocas, the little cute little furry bear-looking creatures, they throw their babies at predators. So I guess I kind of understand throwing your phone. Anyway, like,
well, listen, if they won't shut up, you don't have a whole lot of options.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't really have an answer for this because this is, I mean,
it's disturbing.
But I also equate it to like when you see photos of. I mean, I remember this used to happen when Bill Maher would take a photo with a fan. Mm-hmm. He would put his hands up in the air like this, right? Like you know, and
famously, Keanu has the open hand.
Keanu Reeves,
back.
does the open hand back there too. Because, you know, with that level of accessibility, you're right, there's a degree of ownership that people take because, I mean, there's an intimate relationship that really goes one way, right? It goes from the fan to, like, the Keanu Reeves is not, you know, when he's playing with Dogstar, he's not thinking about that lady he met at Comic-Con 2 weeks ago.
No.
You know,
nor will he ever again.
Not that he's not present in the moment.
Right.
I feel like he's one of the more present, you know, people, you know, that we have, and fuck, I love him as a personality.
Yeah,
but
I'm glad he's also a human.
Yeah, I don't feel the need. Okay, so my desire when I meet somebody that I consider a hero is not to meet them in that kind of environment, right? I want to be like, I'm like, getting my Starbucks latte, and I turn around and there's Keanu, like, hey man, thanks for everything you do. How's your day going?
Right.
You know, that's what I want, rather than
what's
I
the
want to have a
latest
human
motorcycle
experience with
ride?
somebody.
Yeah.
Oh man, if I could have a motorcycle conversation with that guy,
totally.
He has his own motorcycle company. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like super high performance bikes too. They're really cool.
Yeah.
He's a partner in the company. But yeah, like, so I'm not quite sure what this
is it clout
to maybe
tell your friends that was me. I threw my phone at her.
I threw my phone at her. Is it social media? Is it I'm spiking? I'm trying to, you know, get some, you know, like grow in my own personal powers, so I'm going to take some of yours. Is it you know, because we're such a, you know, social and open, you know, network of things these days, is it that piece of I need a piece of this as well? It can't just be about, you know, me enjoying the concert, me being present in the moment. I need to get something from this.
Yeah. I really don't know. I mean, it's happened to me. I've had some things thrown on stage. I think but most bands have those kind of stories, but nothing like that. I do have one horrible story though.
Okay.
So I'm very, very young in my teens, and I mean very young. I don't even, like, so young I don't remember the guy's name that I went to this concert with, but I went and I saw Ozzy and Motley Crue. And this is when Shout at the Devil was blowing up. Ozzy was blowing up. It was probably Blizzard of Oz, I think, maybe.
That'd be 81.
Yeah, it was like 83, maybe 84.
Yeah, maybe. So, yeah.
And the dude I was with, and so I was totally stoked because I'm like, you know, you're at that age and you're like at a big rock show, and we were at Big Mac, which is a building that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
And the kid next to me, the kid that I was with, he thought it was hilarious, and he had a golf ball in his pocket. And and we were up on the second level, so like we didn't have great tickets or anything.
Oh no!
And he threw a golf ball onto the stage, and it was like right at the end of Motley Crue's set. Motley Crue was opening, and it was right at the end of Motley Crue's set. And I mean, I was having a blast. I was like, I love Motley Crue, and I've you know, can't wait to see Ozzy and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. And the security people were all over us. And like people were pointing, like it was those guys. It was those guys. And I'm like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Well, are you with him? Yeah. And you know, I'm like 13 or whatever, and I'm just freaking out. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. And they kicked us out of the arena. Just, you know, took us by the scruff of our jean jackets and ran us out of the arena. Now, at that time, you know, we didn't get fined or arrested or anything, but you know, no longer could see a show. And I was just so pissed off at him. Like, why? Why did you do that? He's like, I thought it'd be funny. And, okay, I guess in that situation, there's a stupid, immature 13-year-old. But, I mean, it was premeditated. He brought a fucking golf ball.
Yeah, exactly.
And so consequently, I didn't get to see Ozzy. Now, the good thing is, Ozzy has had about 27 last tour evers since then.
No more tours.
Yeah, and I saw 2 of those, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But, and by the way,
Yeah.
I probably saw Motley Crue at the height of when Vince Neil could sing, so that was good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, exactly.
outside, by the way, this is, early 80s or whatever, and so we had to just stand there for like 2.5 hours until the parents
mom
came to
came and
pick
got
us
you?
up.
Shit.
With just listening at the booming sound coming from the arena of the Ozzy I'm not seeing. And
How did you not punch him in the face?
the reason I don't remember his name is because I've deleted him from those files.
Yeah.
Like I do not
like
remember.
a Black Mirror episode.
We weren't friends. I think his sister got the tickets, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
gotcha.
but I just remember like that was just the dumbest thing ever. And by the way, everyone else in the crowd thought it was the dumbest thing ever.
Of course. Because it is.
Yeah, and it wasn't so disruptive that like Vince Neil said, "Hey, who threw that?" or looked up at us.
Yeah.
So he didn't even get that moment.
Yeah.
Like they knew it was me. It didn't even get that.
Yeah.
But like the stage security saw it, and it's
Yeah.
a golf ball. It's bouncing around. And
Yeah.
by the way, for a 13-year-old, not a bad arm. I mean, he got it all the way there.
No.
I mean, I got to give it up where it's due.
Maybe he yelled 4 and nobody could hear it.
Yeah,
'cause,
totally. I did yell 4. I can't believe you're kicking me out. But yeah, I've seen the prevalence of this lately, the proliferation of it lately.
Yeah.
And it kind of fans into this, like some douchebag and his girlfriend were at the Coliseum and he carved his name into it.
Yeah.
And then and they asked him and he was like, "Oh, I didn't know it was old. I didn't know it was 2,000 years old." Which
What the fuck?
I'm just calling bullshit on.
No, you're lying.
Yeah.
You're just a dick.
And I mean, if you're traveling to Italy,
Yeah.
I just, so in that case, it's like put him in prison forever. I don't know. So
You
I
are
don't
not
know. I don't know
contributing
how
anything
we're
to
going to solve
society.
this other than to shame these people. And, and I think it's just part of sort of the downfall. It's so funny because, I grew up in the idea of the downfall of Western civilization because of metal. And
Yeah. Oh
in
my
almost
God,
all of
right?
these cases, these are straight ahead mainstream pop acts.
Pop artists,
These aren't
yeah.
this isn't happening at grindcore shows or maybe it is, but it's not, but you're not hearing about it from metal shows or from all the ne'er-do-wells that you would
Yeah.
think of. Or punk shows, punk shows are completely different. And
I mean, I remember going to metal shows when I was a teenager, and there'd be a pit, and somebody would get knocked down, and they'd help you up, and we'd all keep going again. Like,
Yeah.
there was a spirit of camaraderie at that show that maybe the cell phone and the ubiquity of social media has ruined that or killed a little bit of that, but. But that community element with like the quote unquote dirt bags at metal shows,
yeah.
was really rampant. But I have also seen that dwindle. At going to see some of my favorite metal acts.
Yeah.
That sense of camaraderie. I'm not out to get you. I'm out to have to be in to have an experience with you. That's
Yeah.
what this is. This is a community thing.
Well,
I don't know,
it was
man.
built
Yeah.
on, I think metal and alternative music like that has always been built on, it's us against the normies. And
Yeah.
so you got to
The
respect
outsiders,
these
yeah.
people here. We're the people that are letting our hair
Yeah.
grow and wearing, jean jackets or leather or spikes or, spiking your hair up or wearing razor blades. And like, we're on the
Yeah.
outside, so we all have to support each other. And
Yeah.
now in such a fractured world, I think even those people feel like, hey, it's everybody for themselves. And
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like
it at
spam.
all. Spam, 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 spam.
All right.
Bloody Vikings!
So to wrap that up, don't throw shit.
Stop being a douchebag.
And by the way, I don't want to say don't throw shit. Do throw panties. Do
Yeah.
throw bras. And by the way, this goes for men too. So, throw undergarments. That's fine, I think. I don't know of any band that's like, oh, God damn it, another bra, another
on, though.
G-string, you guys.
I think there may be there may be a line here though, because I think that in the there's a part of this that I think that it's different for men than it is for women in this environment. I think that there's an expectation that men are, this hypersexual beings or whatever, and that a bra and a pair of panties hitting the stage and be like, fuck yeah, my dick's huge, or whatever the hell it's going to be. The other side for women can kind of border on harassment a little bit, and I think that's true. I think we just need to be careful and more considerate of each other.
Okay, so Stu says don't throw undergarments at chick bands. Wait a minute, am I getting that right?
No. I think we should not be throwing anything. I think we should all be there together and enjoying an experience. Because I think it goes both ways with this mental health conversation. Intimate and sexual and personal health matters as well, and that doesn't need to be invaded by any of this garment tossing.
You're right. It just makes when you said there's a line, it made me think of a former girlfriend of mine, her Nana. So that's how old she was. Her Nana.
Throwing things at Tom Jones.
Went to Tom Jones. And she was easily 70 at the time.
Oh, I love it.
This is like 20 years ago. Yeah. So Tom Jones was old as well, but not what he is now.
He was in 60s. Yeah. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, late 50s, early 60s. And he and so she came home and we were in her apartment.
Grandma, where's your bra?
No bra. I'm like, Nana, what's going on? Did you forget your bra tonight? She's like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. It was beautiful and pink and sparkly, and now Tom Jones has it. And
oh my God.
and I looked over at my girlfriend, and she looked over at me, and she was like, don't do it. Don't do it. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And she's like, don't do it. And so I went, and Nana, what about your panties? And she looked me dead in the eye, and she was like, I didn't wear them. Just in case. It was one of those. Oh my God. Like, she was totally that groupie at 70 that was like going to a show thinking, look, on the off chance that I'm in the back tunnel with Tom Jones.
Or Tom Jones is in the back tunnel.
I don't want that to get in the way of whatever may happen. But yeah, she threw her bra, and apparently a bunch of people did, as they always do. You can look up those videos.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we don't throw undergarments anymore. Or maybe we just don't throw anything.
I just don't think it can be. We can parse it out like that. I think it just has to be like, hey, be there, be present, be at the show, be together, enjoy the experience, but don't try and make your mark on the artist's expression.
Read the room. Read the room.
Yeah, read the room. And the 2 Shots Music Pod verdict is stop throwing shit.
Stop throwing shit. Yeah. Okay. You've got me on your side. I tend to still be on the more of the. Yeah, I'm okay with some of it, But listen, a bra with a hard underwire, that'll get you.
Yeah. I mean, I have scars. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It's those Little Bear shows.
Yeah, oh my God, all the bras all over the place.
So let's move on to like sort of this topic of the week. It's not really a question, but a topic. And it is July. When you hear this, it will still be July, I believe. Or close to it. But I was slaving away with my Santa hat on at 97 degrees outside, trying to nail this fucking glockenspiel part. Why is that? Because we do Christmas music in July. And this is something, I wrote about this before, but this is something, it took me forever coming up as a young songwriter and in a band on the grind. Every year, the calendar would roll around in November, and I'd be like, oh, I should really do a Christmas song this year. The band should do Christmas stuff. Or we were learning Christmas stuff for holiday shows that were coming up and all of that. And every year, and it wasn't too late to give it to fans. It wasn't too late to play it at those shows. But I learned every year, I was like, how come this isn't getting traction? And I had a meeting with a really famous a promotions manager who managed a lot of bands. We had this great lunch, and we were talking about, and it was like July 2nd. And we were talking about the upcoming festival thing in August, and then there was a college radio campaign. And I was like, man, this is it. We're working. The band was getting traction, and radio was falling into place. We were getting bigger shows, and things were happening. I really felt like I had arrived. Like, I'm in the real music industry now. This band's a real thing. So as we finished lunch and we're leaving, he goes, oh, yeah, he just sort of threw this at me. Oh, yeah, by the way, when you're done mixing, throw me your Christmas songs. We're doing a big promo campaign with Bleep Artist in August, and I'd like to put you into it. And I was like, I lied and went, yeah, of course. Yeah, you bet. Because I thought I was so cool. And then I started calling studios, some of my contacts, and I was like, hey, apparently I need to book a session. They're like, yeah, we're all booked up. And I finally got a hold of one guy, and he was like, yeah, we got some time. And I was talking to the mixing engineer in the little kitchenette area, and he's like, yeah, it's July. This happens every year. It's Christmas in July, man. And I got the whole lowdown of why you do the Christmas in July, so you can turn around the mix in August, and then you got to get it to the marketing people to start setting up a physical release campaign later in the fall, but also get it to TV and radio and ad and get all that lined up way before November happens so that it's already in place before it goes out mid-November or so. And while a lot of that has changed, you do not need to book your big studio session today, probably. You can do a lot of this on your own DAW at home. You're probably not reaching for a radio campaign, and if you don't have tons of money, that's a good idea not to. But all the rest of it is the same. There are still post-production things that are going to be happening in August. Trailers are going to be needed. Advertising, station ID. Sync is a very big part of Christmas. It still will be this year. Regardless of the writer's strike and all of that, there are still shows that will be put out, and TV promo ads, and also, playlists and terrestrial and satellite radio are going to be. They always need music because they literally play holiday music 24/7 at one point. And so this is the time you do that. And we're here to give you that hint to save you another year of your time if you're interested.
A little bit of planning helps, just being a little. I always do a Halloween song as well.
Yes.
In April or May time.
We had a few pitches a few years ago for Freeform and FX where they were doing like the 22 days of Halloween, and all of those kind of things, like those promo ads. They always need, fresh music. Look. It's Monster Mash and like 2 other songs. Like, get in that Halloween shit.
Yeah.
It can't just be
I've been
Monster
encouraging
Mash.
everybody I talk to write. And there's benchmarks throughout the year for you marketing. There's there's Halloween, there's Christmas. I mean, Thanksgiving, not so much. But I know last year I went to so many Halloween parties that were all playing Halloween playlists. And it was always like some type of curated thing where they were like, these are all the songs that are Halloween. And that fucking Muse song, You Make Me Feel Like It's Halloween, that was on the last record. I heard that on every single, and that song is great. I love that song. But I was just like, I'm at this party right now, and the playlist, most of the songs, besides that one, were older songs, Monster Mash and Feed My Frankenstein by fucking Alice Cooper,
right,
like that kind of shit, right? And so I'm just kind of like, why is it? If this is happening, if this is this Halloween is becoming a bigger and a bigger deal every year, everybody's getting dressed up and enjoying themselves. I dress as a slutty cat as usual, and why not get involved in this?
Yeah.
I wasn't very hot. Let's write a song for tax day, for fuck's sake, and have it come out to Friday before. Don't put it out on Tuesday.
Right.
So like all of these things, you can get really creative with it if you do it right. But Christmas is absolutely the one that you need to be working on right now.
Yeah, and
Hallmark movies need some fucking songs, man.
Yeah, and it's Christmassy songs. It doesn't have to be Christmas songs. Although, I will, I want to mention a few things here. One, playlists are a really big part of this. Last year, we saw a lot of inclusions on playlists that were called like Rockabilly Xmas or Sad Girl Holidays or Merry Metal Christmas. And so, it can be your thing. You don't have to do the traditional Christmas thing. Oh, and by the way, if you fucking hate Christmas and the holidays,
write a song about
somebody's ready
Christmas.
To put your Fuck Off Santa song in their I Hate Holidays playlist.
Yeah. One of the bands I was in, we wrote a song called "Nothing Good for Christmas." It was basically about a dude who was caught cheating on his girlfriend at Christmas time, and Santa was like, "You're a real piece of shit. You're not getting anything for Christmas."
Nice. See, and all that stuff is great, and so I'm gonna post these things. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but I'm gonna post like a list of. There's kind of two things you need to know. So ultimately, if you have the time, if you're kind of in between release cycles, the best thing you could do is like a 5-song EP, and you want to write 3 originals and have 2 public domain covers if possible. If you got a little bit of money, you want to cover some of like the most covered Christmas songs that are on streaming and radio. And so it's hard to know which ones are public domain and which ones are you have to pay to license, or like if you're on DistroKid, you gotta use their little program for $12 a year. But otherwise, you go to Harry Fox and get your little license for $15 or whatever. But so we will
$26.
Yeah, plus fees for those 1,000 streams up front. But it's the same thing, right? Like it's the same thing for sync. It's the same thing for editorial playlists. They need to have a lot of lead time. They want to know that you're going to be pushing the song a little bit. If you got a little money, it's the same thing that you are releasing it to an algorithm and not to people. So just because it's a famous cover song doesn't mean it's going to go on its own. You still have to do some promo. But the good thing is, if you do this right now, you'll have a bunch of content for your TikToks and shorts and reels and stuff coming up.
Yep.
You obviously can release it to your fans, use it as a giveaway to get more emails, whatever. There's a lot of reasons you can do this. And they don't have to be full-on, fully orchestrated productions. Sometimes, especially with holiday music, a nice piano or a guitar or, and vocal with a little nice harmony behind it, pretty easy to knock out in your bedroom, and you can mix and get that out pretty quick. So we're going to put out a list that'll be attached to this podcast. There are the most listened to public domain songs on streaming and radio. And these are songs like Ave Maria, Away in the Manger, Deck the Halls, God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, that kind of stuff, right? And then the other list is the most covered Christmas songs. And that means these ones have publishing where you have to get a license to cover it. And those are songs like Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, the Christmas song, Sleigh Ride, 12 Days of Christmas, White Christmas is a big one that gets covered every year.
Are we allowed to cover Baby It's Cold Outside again, or is that still verboten?
No, I think a lot of people are covering it and changing the words, which may not be allowable.
That's what I was going to ask is because I know that we've had versions of cover songs come across our desks.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh, I want to change these words, and it's like, I don't think you can do that, man.
Yeah, look, this is the Weird Al rule. Weird Al for parody songs would always go and ask the publisher and get the permission of the songwriters, even though he didn't necessarily have to. But in some cases, the publisher will stop you from using it because it will hurt their copyright. On a traditional song like that, I think it became sort of normative last year. One way around that, that's for like releasing it to DSPs and stuff, right? One way around that is just put it on YouTube and see what happens. Like, I know that sucks to say, but that is, and this is not legal advice, but just putting it on YouTube is like user generated content that you're not trying to commercialize as much. And you may get a hit that says you can't monetize it. So what?
Yeah.
That's fine. And, give it to your fans or whatever.
But it still has value in that way.
Yeah. But so we'll put that list out to give you some guidance on what to do. But it is just time for you to think about it. And by the way, you don't have to put out a 5-song EP. Just come up with 1 or 2 songs, just if you're feeling it, write and produce a few songs this month. And be prepared, because I tell you, you will be so much more excited when you get to the end of October and you're like, oh, that's right, I got a few.
Yeah.
Or I got one. And you'll have plenty of time to release it and pitch it and do all that stuff to it.
Hell yes.
And it makes for great like video content and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I was asked like last week, well, why would you pay for the covers if you could do these public domain ones? Well, the public domain ones are very religious oriented. A lot of the other ones come from like musicals and stuff like that. That's why they're owned by publishers. But the reason why you would do that is, like we spoke about before, a lot of people are putting together playlists. And by the way, this isn't just your friends going to parties. These are people running restaurants or running like hotel lobbies or, that kind of stuff. They're still going to have some holiday music, and they're just searching the name of those songs, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the first things that will come up in algorithmic weighting is recent releases. So while Michael Bublé's version of it or whomever's version of it is going to be much more popular with a lot of streams, one thing that ticks off in your favor is that it's a new release. It's a brand new thing. And so that may pop you up in a search a little bit easier where people want to hear the latest and the new songs. I saw a lot of playlists last year that were, new release Christmas music. Where they're just picking off shit that's been released. Because, think about it. Every Christmas or every holiday season, I should say, you listen to these songs on playlists and you just let them run all night at all the parties you go to or when you're decorating or whatever. And so sometimes you just like, I just want some new shit, man.
Yeah.
So you can be
I
that
hear
new
something
shit.
I've never heard before. Yeah. And again, I remember us talking about this before. I would love to hear some cross-pollination genre-wise on some of this shit.
Yes.
Right? I want to hear a hip hop cover of or a metal cover of Christmas in Hollis, or hip hop cover of Oh Holy Night, or something like just fuck with it, make it yours, and just have at it. Make it creative, and make it yours.
I want to hear synthwave Silent Night.
Oh shit, that sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah, I want to hear like new wave 80s version of the 12 Days of Christmas. And like you'll notice this when you watch movies that you will hear these syncs that are in them where, why don't they use the classic version of that song for the movie? Because that's usually associated with a much older movie. So you have a better chance at sync if you're doing an R&B version or like an up-tempo version of, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. You can beat Bruce Springsteen in the one area, and get him out of there, partially because that's a live track. That's hard to sync because it takes you out of the moment because you hear a crowd and stuff. Now it's a good one to listen to. But, it's the same thing like if you hear Bing Crosby sing I'll Be Home for Christmas, it just feels a certain way.
Yeah.
Because I'm 80, apparently. Everybody's like, why wouldn't you bring up Xtina on that? But
Xtina.
But like if there's like a ska version of I'll Be Home for Christmas, it feels different. Make it feel yours.
I'm curious about the mashup potentials here.
Ooh.
What about a version of Born to Run Run Rudolph? Chuck, we take those two together. Is there I don't know what the rules are on that piece of it, because it's kind of you're definitely taking
derivative work. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta get permission on that shit. So the other thing is compulsory, right? Like anyone that's ever released a song commercially. Well, not anyone. I'm looking at you, Don Henley. But mostly, almost everyone. If you release a song commercially, any musician, anybody, doesn't have to be a musician, has the right to cover it. You own the master, but you have to basically do the same arrangement, melody, and lyrics as the original. Yeah. You can't add shit. You can't add your own verse to it. You can't add a different bridge. You can stylistically change it, of course. It doesn't have to be in the same key or tempo. But if you add shit to the composition, that becomes a derivative work that technically you should be paid part of. The same thing happens with mashups, and it has to do with the arrangement. So you are basically arranging a new song of two previous works. Yeah. And there most likely is like an in-between part, and you will have there's a copyright involved in that, in the arrangement of it. And that's why you got to get permission. You can do it. And, publishers are pretty damn open to mashups for specialty products, for like, this is all specialty music. So holiday music or, single use kind of music. It's for a certain time. So it's not going to be, running a national radio campaign and a tour behind it or a video, all that kind of stuff, even though maybe you could. But that's the way that you would have to do it. You would have to get, basically you would give up both sides of it. You would give up, like you'd split the publishing on a derivative work to both of those publishers and therefore the songwriters. Yeah. But you would would still own the master. That's the other thing with all of this. Public domain or not, you own the master forever. So you will always make that recording side of it, and that means your streams. And if you can sell it, good luck. If you can sell a CD or something, or vinyl.
Yeah.
And also, if you do want physical, that's why you got to do this now too. There are still physical vinyl compilations and things, especially for Christmas, and people that think about all those girls. Not girls, I shouldn't say that. That's not wrong. Let me just strike that. All of those people who bought Taylor Swift records and Harry Styles records have a record player. Well, they're going to need something to play for the holidays. Now, they're going to be crate digging just like everybody else, trying to find some holiday albums. And so maybe that's you this year,
Yeah. Here's a question for you. With regards to the derivative work piece of this, you said you can change the key, you can kind of change the vibe, but where does the line lie on, playing with the chord progressions that support the melody and lyrics?
Yeah, that is a tough question to answer. It is. It's if it becomes it's kind of like pornography. Like the publisher knows it when they see it, that the song is so much more different. Yeah. So, if you have a passing seventh instead of like the walking sixth or whatever up to the next line.
Yeah.
And you change like a major chord that everybody knows. It may work within the context of the song because you're doing like a minor version of it. Yeah. That may work. Yeah. But if the and by the way, in these cases, a lot of times the publisher wants to hear it before they give you the right to do it.
Yeah.
So you got to demo it out a lot of times.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a major publisher, like Warner will definitely want to hear it and be and then they kind of make the call on whether it's too much like a derivative work or whether it is an actual mechanical cover of the song. But there's no rule. There isn't like some sort of 7-second rule or only 2 chord changes or anything like that or timing wise. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
Like you'll know when they sue you.
And then look at all the publicity you get from that.
Yeah, but and the problem with this is that you go to them and you're like, I want to cover this. I want to make sure that it's about the same running time or about the same everything, right? And and if if you do this on Harry Fox, it's already preloaded. You just pay the money and you can put it out and you got a license. Yeah. It's granted to you. Deep inside of that license is some language that basically talks about this. Like if you change the underlying material too much, but it doesn't state 4 chord changes or whatever.
So it's not explicit.
And so the only thing that happens at the end of it is the publisher or their assigns, as we call them, the publisher or their assigns will come at you and basically go, take it down. Take it, because there's no more rights they can get. They're already getting all the publishing money.
Yeah.
So they can't get more publishing. So what they'll just do is, and basically the argument is you're confusing the marketplace. It is no longer a hat tip to us. You are making it too much your own. And that's where that comes from. Like there's famously a guy that put in another verse in Last Worthless Evening of Don Henley. A Don Henley song. Yeah. Just put in a whole nother fucking verse. Change the story. And he got sued. I don't remember what actually became of it, but I think he had to pull it, take it out, and then put it back up.
Wow.
So, yeah. But I don't know if a publisher would come in and go, I'm not really a fan of that A over G sharp there. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll go that far. It's normally it's words.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah, gotcha.
It's like porn.
Yeah, you'll
You
know,
know
when
it
you
when
see
you
it.
see it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
too different. It's too different.
Gotcha. Well, that was fucking educational as fuck. I
Was
enjoyed
it?
that.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
All right. Well, good.
I enjoyed that.
I'm glad we're all learning something.
I feel like I think the major point is do a Christmas song. You can cover something. There was a little bit of inside baseball, but why not write something?
Please write something.
You're a songwriter.
Please write something. I mean, Mariah
Please write
Carey
something.
doesn't have to ever work again. She doesn't have to
I
ever
don't want
on one
a
song.
Christmas. Yeah.
On one song.
She
And this story goes on back to the 20s and 30s, by the way.
Yeah.
Christmas songs
Yeah.
that have just been perennial. If you
Yeah.
can strike gold with a Christmas song and it will be played
Yeah.
every year. And even like Destiny's Child has a Christmas record that does well every year. And like that hasn't been a band for 20 years. You know, like that
Yeah.
it's that
Yeah.
kind of shit that it can keep
Yeah.
your legacy alive, and it's mailbox money, and you buy
Yeah.
more shots with your royalty checks. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Hey.
It is very.
Also, let's not. I know that we're gonna be giving shit about. It's all about business. But the other thing is, like, if you've never been able to give your grandparents or your parents a Christmas song, it is such a wonderful gift. It is such a cool thing to do. Like, it's so much better than your regular record or whatever. You know how you have your family, and your family doesn't give a fuck about your music career. And, you know, and you're like, well, here's my record. We put 20 grand into it, and this is my whole life. And they're like, yeah, good for you. That's very nice. I wish you would have been a lawyer.
Job, hippie. Yeah.
But, you know, it's different when you give your nana or your grandma, you're like, here's my version of White Christmas. And it's like some moody, like, you know, some like minor, and they're like, it'll make them cry because they know Christmas music or holiday music. And so for that reason alone, it's good to do. And also, if you're playing live, you're going to have to learn some of these songs anyway. So get on it, Chief.
I've done enough Christmas shows where I wander around, like there was one gig I did. It was at a ballroom somewhere, and literally had my phone clipped to the back of my guitar, and I sang probably 150 Christmas songs that night, just wandering around singing stuff. And like just even from that standpoint, just having like being able to play a holiday party, play these Christmas songs makes a huge fucking difference. And it's I know we're talking about business piece of this, but that's part of this. I don't think people that are listening to this necessarily want our input or help on the creative piece.
No,
we're gonna just assume you have that.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is give you some tools, giggity, and some like just some things that you may not be. There's some alternate perspectives, some things you may not have thought of that can help you pay your rent, buy some Christmas presents. I'm sorry, holiday presents. Write a holiday song. If I'm going to be PC about it, all of that kind of stuff.
By the way, do try to write that Thanksgiving
I just think
Day
it's really,
song.
really, really
it's
important.
Just Adam
to know
Sandler's taking
all
up
this
that
stuff.
whole
And
fucking thing.
Take notes, write it down, build a plan, and then you will see some things really fucking happen.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to Sync of the Week.
The sync.
All right, I'm going to go first on this one. I am watching a show called Based on a True Story.
Ooh.
It's a brand new show for me. Kaylee Cuoco. Who you'll remember from Big Bang. And also many other things. She was most recently in The Flight Attendant, and also
which is really great.
Fucking show with Pete Davidson. I didn't watch that, but she's great.
Flight
and
Attendant?
Flight Attendant, yeah, and that was the one that I really liked her, and it was on Hobo, and she was crazy, like literally in that show, and it's nice to see her in sort of a fairly normalized role, because it was hard to watch her break down in that show. Also Chris Messina's in it, few other people. It's on the cock. That's right. I'm going to say it till you change it, Peacock. It's on Peacock.
Yeah, it's on the Cock.
And it's a really inventive idea of a show. It's basically about like how murder podcasts are so popular for the wine crowd, wine and murder gals and stuff. And it's kind of about a struggling couple that hasn't reached their full potential. A former tennis guy who could have been a star, but he blew out his knee. And she's pregnant, and they're kind of struggling with money and stuff. And there is a serial killer on the loose in Los Angeles called the West Side Strangler. And I'm not going to give away anything else, but basically they start a podcast about a serial killer with him. Ooh. That's the hook. Okay, so great producers are behind it. Jason Bateman's behind it. I think Jason Bateman's brother's in it. But so it's a good show.
Larry Bateman.
Yeah, Barry Bateman. Hello. Hello, I'm Jason's brother.
He told me to come here for craft services.
I hope there's no shrimp.
The sandwiches.
Anyway, it's a cool show. It's not super great, but it's good. And it is, it's 30 minutes and it rolls by. You can binge the hell out of it. Anyway, so there is a placement on it from a band called Wolfman. It's an artist called Wolfman, which is a duo out of Zurich. And they do like sort of cool dance music. There is a song called Heat that is like in the 4th episode, something like that. It really stuck out to me. And you can go look at their Spotify and find this song. The rest of their songs do about 36,000, 40,000 streams, something like that. They've only got about 2,000 monthly listeners. So, I mean, you're not talking about some huge artist here. They're sort of independent. I think they have some label support on a small side. But they're from Zurich, and, they're a duo, and they're doing their thing. That one song, Heat, though, has 399,000 streams. So that shows you that, look, a placement helps, y'all. Yeah. And it's also, like, from 2018. And so it's kind of reviving that song. The supervisors are Whitney Pilzer and Jen Malone. Hi, Jen. On that show on The Cock. Yes, I will continue to say.
Is it hard to get on The Cock?
It is not hard to get on The Cock. Sometimes The Cock comes with your programming already. Now, there are pauses on The Cock. Sometimes The Cock wants to show you some things. A 30-second ad thing. I've had to watch ads. Like
on The Cock?
On The Cock, yeah.
Okay.
And
would you say
it's kind of a dick move, but what kind
of vein is The Cock? I'm sorry.
That's too much.
I'm sorry.
That's a bridge too far.
Too far.
We were all having fun here until you spilled my tea. So it's on Peacock. It's called Based on a True Story. It's worth your time. Like, you got nothing else going on right now if you're in between shows. It's good. And the placement is Wolfman Heat.
Heat on The Cock.
Tonight on The Cock.
Please, I really hope at some point in time they take they run with that.
I'm trying to find other shows so I can just make it every single fucking sync of the week from here on out. Kind of like you did with
me and Ted
Lasso.
Lasso. Yeah. Oh, I mean,
with Ted Lasso.
Barry has had some wonderful syncs that I really enjoy. And for me on that show in particular, it's the juxtaposition of the subject matter with the song that they have, like that we talked about, More Than Words. They did It Must Have Been Love by Roxette. In a scene that was a full-on meltdown. It was amazing. But
I love songs to killing sprees. I really do, every time. By the way, in this show there is a killing spree. It's imagined, but they show it, and it's to Taylor Dane. Tell it to my heart. Yeah, and
hell yeah,
it's a really good one. Yeah, that was going to be my second.
I did a show with Taylor Dane a few years ago, and I was like, wow, well done, ma'am. Thank you so much.
She's fine.
She looked great. She sounded great. She was a good looking lady.
Yeah.
My sync of the week is from a friend from a band that we are acquainted with and know some members of, and it is Firefall. You Are the Woman. And Hunters. I don't know. It was in the middle of a bender. I lost track of what episode I was on.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what episode it was in, but I remember, having like it is such a 70s show, and to have this, like tentpole 70s song in it from friends of ours, was really, really, really fun. It was just nice to hear, somebody I know and know that they got a little bit of Amazon money.
Yeah.
And that show is really fantastic. There's 2 seasons of it, and it is well worth watching if you can handle the subject matter.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, it is a fucking great show, and that song was a lovely little distraction in the middle of it. But they often played the same thing, kind of the subject matter of the song versus what you were seeing on the screen. It was often that juxtaposition that made it work for me.
Hopefully, people are kind of. This is why we do this. Is that we're trying to get you to understand that the song you have called, like Diamonds is not going to be in a diamond commercial. Like it's just not. But like the point is that in almost all of these cases, it is some sort of a juxtaposition. There is some thinking behind it, some creativity.
Yeah.
It is an art. Music supervision is an art, and these are people making artsy things, and like that's why your song has a place in something. Just don't go telling supervisors, I think this would be perfect for that, because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about a lot of times. I just think
about Stuck in the Middle on Reservoir Dogs.
I was the same. I was the same way, too. Like, I thought, oh, yeah, this would be perfect. This song that I have about, jumping would be great for this jumping scene. And it's like, no. That or I mean, people have done this forever, like in Nashville. They're like, I wrote this song for Dolly. And like, no, that is just not the way to go about it. Let the pros figure out, write a great song that has real emotion, that has real peaks and valleys and rises and comes to a point and tells a story from another perspective, and let the pros place it.
Yeah. They know what to do better. There's a vision here, with regards. I mean, I think about like. With regards to like, look at the film directors that have like kind of done it. Like James Gunn's done it with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And he's done it with a few of his other films, but as well. But like you got your Tarantinos and you got your Scorseses and you've got even Clint Eastwood to a certain extent. Doing that with their films. When they are storyboarding this stuff out, there's a soundtrack going.
Yeah.
And the song very often it's the vibe and the idea of the song, not necessarily the subject matter.
Yeah. And when it works,
oh boy, howdy.
Oh boy, howdy, does it work. Wow, listen to us not cussing. Oh boy, howdy.
Oh, fuck yes.
Fuck yeah. On the
fuck
cock.
Yes. That was not on the cock. That was on prime cock.
All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Remember,
did Kelsey say anything this entire time? I mean, we've been kind of off book for a while. I'm surprised she's not yelling.
She's asleep over there, or drunk, one or the other. Shut up! Don't hit me! Don't hit me! That's workplace violence. HR. Hey, don't forget to rate and subscribe and give us 5 stars and leave a hilarious comment on Apple. Stop it! Stop hitting me! And leave us hilarious comments on Apple iPod, not iPods. Jesus, I said it again. We're 16 episodes into this damn thing. Do not leave a comment on your iPod.
Yeah, I mean, if you do, you're going to be the only one that sees it.
Apple Podcasts.
Spotify.
Thank you all so much for coming along on this ride with us. And make sure to share us. You can always find us at 2ShotsMusicPod everywhere you find people. And email us, 2ShotsMusicPod@gmail.com.
Yeah. Well, at some point in time, we do need to start a drummer support at 2ShotsMusicPod.
We really do. We need to give... you know what? Maybe our next podcast is all drummer-oriented. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay, that sounds
praise
great.
Of drummers.
Can I talk about my love of all the drummers?
Kelsey, wake up! Wake up! All right, we'll talk to you next time, you guys. All right, bye!
Love you, bye!